Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Christmas Day, Coach Prime, the Colorado Buffaloes, not taking any days off in the transfer portal, landing another commitment, this one coming from former Florida State linebacker DJ Lundy. And to begin to describe DJ Lundy as a football player, the first word I would use is hammer. I mean, this is a guy that is phenomenal as a box linebacker, taking on blocks, kind of establishing that physicality. And you look back at that 2023 season and Coach Prime and this staff kind of looking at where do we want to improve as a team within that front seven. The physicality and that kind of culture up front was something Coach Prime wants to change. He wants to become more physical in that tackle box. DJ Lundy, a guy that is going to do that for Colorado. You take a look at his numbers through 4 years at Florida State, over 180 tackles, 16 and a half of those for a loss, 5 sacks, 8 passes defended. But most importantly, from a culture standpoint, I think DJ Lundy is bringing a kind of attitude to this Colorado linebacker room that might have kind of been lacking in that 2023 season. It's a guy that played fullback for Florida State at certain times during his career. That kind of begins to describe the physicality in which DJ Lundy plays with. Really fired up about this one. Excited to get into DJ Lundy, talk a little bit about where Coach Prime is going in the transfer portal. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys. This has been just an absolute blast to cover Coach Prime, this Colorado program, and the roster management that is happening. And the amount of support you guys have shown has been absolutely amazing. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And more importantly, hope you guys are all having a phenomenal holiday, phenomenal Christmas. And without further ado, let's get into DJ Lundy. And again, we read off the numbers, right? Over 180 tackles, 16 and a half tackles for loss. I want to focus in on what he did in that 2023 season, because I think he played his best football at Florida State in 2023. One, part of a Florida State defense that was phenomenal all year, right? 13-0 ACC championships. So you're bringing in a winning guy, a guy that was part of a winning culture at Florida State. Obviously, a culture that Coach Prime wants to cultivate in Boulder. The most important thing I'm looking at for DJ Lundy is what he is as a run support linebacker, right? You look at Colorado in 2023, gave up over 4.5 yards per carry. That was 94th in the country to opposing running backs. Teams ran for over 175 rushing yards per game against them. And when you're Colorado and you have the offense that Colorado is going to trot out in 2024, the last thing you want are teams being able to establish that ground game and keeping Shedeur Sanders and all those offensive weapons off the field. So you have to bring in guys in that front seven that are going to clean up the leakage that we saw in this run defense last year. DJ Lundy is going to be one of those guys. You go back to what he did in 2023, couple things jump out. One, as a linebacker, what is your main job? You got to be able to tackle. 3.4% missed tackle rate for DJ Lundy at Florida State in 2023. That is astronomically low. This is a guy that when he puts hands on someone, that guy is normally going to the ground. A very sure tackler. He's extremely strong at the point of attack. And to kind of emphasize this, 23 run stops during his 2023 season at Florida State. You look at Colorado and the players they had in 2023, the most you had was Jordan Dominic at 21 run stops. So DJ Lundy comes in with the most run stops on this team from Florida State last year. He's going to bring that to Colorado. And again, you had some success grabbing some guys from Florida State last year. You're hoping to have some more success with a guy like DJ Lundy. You look at the average depth of tackle, 2.5 yards down the field. And what does that tell you as a linebacker, right? If you're looking at linebackers and you want to know where they're making their plays, are they making their plays 7 yards down the field? Are they making their plays at the line of scrimmage? DJ Lundy, 2.5 yards average depth of tackle. That is telling you he's playing downhill. He's taking on blocks, shedding blocks, and making plays at the line of scrimmage. That's another number that you're looking at. And then you look at what he can do as a pass rusher. A 19% pass rush win rate, a registered 5 quarterback hurries. Obviously, the sacks not necessarily stuffing the stat sheet, but this is a guy that when you want to send him on an A or B gap blitz, he is going to impact the quarterback as a pass rusher as well. Again, 19% pass rush win rate. I mean, that is very high for a linebacker going on blitzes. And then you look at him in coverage, and you might assume at 6'1", 245 pounds, how does he operate in space? On 16 targets, only gave up 8 catches. So you start looking at the kind of the checkbox, or the checklist, I should say, of what you want in a linebacker. One, extremely physical, phenomenal tackler, big time check. You look at what he does as a pass rusher, massive check. You look at what he can do in coverage, checking that box as well. But most importantly, what I'm focusing on with DJ Lundy is the mentality and the culture that he's going to bring in this linebacker room. Again, you go back to his time at Florida State, they were playing him as a fullback. They were playing him as a fullback for a reason. This dude is extremely physical. He wants to play the game of football at an extremely physical level. DJ Lundy going to immediately kind of bring a kind of another level of mentality in terms of what you want in your linebacker room at Colorado. And you look at what they're doing on that defensive line, something that we've talked about the last couple of weeks. The best friend for a linebacker, especially one who's as dynamic as DJ Lundy, is having a good defensive line in front of him. I think Colorado's done that. So you're looking at the linebacker play, and you're saying this linebacker play is going to get a lot better because, one, the defensive line is taken care of, and then, two, you're bringing in some very talented linebackers like a guy in DJ Lundy. Really excited. And you take a look back, and this is something, the conversation we've had a lot. So a lot of Colorado fans that have been rocking with the boys for a while have already heard this, but it kind of feels different. The quality of players that are being brought in. This is the 18th transfer portal edition, right? We saw 30 plus last cycle. Last cycle, you look at some of those transfer portal additions and a lot of guys that weren't necessarily proven at the Power 5 level. I mean, Coach Prime even said this. We kind of just had to fill in a roster, right? We had to get bodies into this program. And yes, you saw that the talent on this roster was meaningfully better in 2023 than what it was in 2024. This transfer portal cycle feels different because you're going and getting guys who are proven dudes at the Power 5 level. I mean, DJ Lundy is starting linebacker from a Florida State team that just won 13-0. Now, he is a guy that has played a ton of football at a very good program. So he's kind of checking that box. And you scroll up and down this list, Colorado beating out a lot of Power 5 teams for some of these transfers. You look at that defensive line. You specifically look at that front seven. I mean, Samuel Okunlola, a guy that had so many offers at the Power 5 level. Chidozie Nwankwo, we already talked about him, just an absolute animal on that inside of the defensive line. You go get a defensive lineman from Alabama and Anquin Barnes. This front seven, Quincy Wiggins from LSU, it looks different. It feels different. I think you're going to see a different level of physicality. And then you look at the offensive line, completely has retooled this offensive line. And a guy that we haven't really talked about a lot, Phillip Houston, coming from FIU, only gave up 15 pressures at FAU last year. So that's another guy that you're feeling good about the depth and talent level of that offensive line. Now, I fully expect Coach Prime in Colorado to continue to stay aggressive in the transfer portal. But what I think you're most excited about is the selectivity that you're seeing. Not only are we landing a lot of bodies, but the quality of these guys, it's just a higher level. And a guy like DJ Lundy, who brings that physicality to this front seven for Colorado, is massive. You look at the boxes that Colorado wanted to check in the transfer portal. Offensive line help, massive check there. You look at another box they wanted to check, the physicality in the front seven of this Colorado defense, trying to shore up the leakage that we saw in the run game. You bring in a guy like Chidozie Nwankwo, one of the better run-stuffing defensive linemen. You bring in a guy like DJ Lundy, one of the better run-stopping linebackers that we saw at the Power 5 level last year. You're starting to see a lot of check boxes, and that's what the transfer portal is designed to do, right? You look and kind of take a look at your team in 2023 and say, hey, where do we need to get immediately better in 2024? And they said offensive line, kind of, I guess, in the trenches on both sides of the football. That's exactly what Colorado is doing. Now, they're sprinkling in some other talent, right? Cordell Russell coming from TCU, but the main things we wanted to see Colorado improve on from that 2023 season, that's what they're doing in the transfer portal. And if you're a Colorado fan, you're extremely excited to see some of these weaknesses that we saw in Colorado for 2023 become a lot less, arguably become strengths of this unit heading into 2024. Coach Prime doing a phenomenal job in the transfer portal. DJ Lundy, a very fun linebacker that's bringing not just a very good linebacker, but kind of a new mentality to that position. Really excited about this one. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. We will continue to update y'all as Coach Prime Colorado continues to make moves in the transfer portal. Support's been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. Hopefully or hope you guys enjoy your Christmas, and we'll talk to y'all later.